Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. I want to start this video out with just a quick congratulations to the Hootie Hoo channel. He just surpassed 100,000 subscribers. That's a pretty major milestone for a YouTuber, especially a gun channel, you know. He puts in a lot of hard work. It seems like every time that I log into YouTube, he's posted a new video. I don't see how he does it, honestly, but he does it. And that's what it takes to succeed. I've never met Hootie Hoo. He seems like a genuinely nice guy, and it's nice to see somebody like that be successful. So congratulations, Hootie Hoo. Today's video is going to be about sight alignment. Guys, I get requests all the time to do instructional style videos, and I'm really reluctant to do that. You see, I don't have any certificates from any training schools. I don't have any diplomas from any shooting schools or anything. I don't have any military training. I'm not law enforcement. I'm just a working class Appalachian family man who enjoys shooting every chance I get, which is obviously never seems like it's enough. But I don't have any credentials, is what I'm trying to say. I don't have any anything to stand on to say you guys should listen to me. This is what I'm going to do. But as long as you guys understand that and are clear about it, then I think it'd be all right if I done a video or two. Today we're going to talk about sight picture and what I see when I'm looking down the sights. There's a ton of good videos out there on sight picture, but I wanted to cover what I see because there's also a lot of bad videos out there on sight picture. There's a lot of videos, and some of them from bigger channels that should know better, where they'll show an illustration on the screen, and that illustration has the rear sight, the front sight, and the target all in nice crisp focus. It doesn't happen that way. And if you're a new shooter, you may get confused looking at that, and you get to the range and you're like, if I'm focused on my front sight, I can't see my target very good. Or if I'm focused on my target, I can't see my sights very good. That's 100% natural. Your eyes can't focus on three planes at once. It's just not going to happen. So I set the camera up and set this little gun up and took some pictures of the sight picture of what I'm looking for when I'm looking for sight picture. I'll roll that up here on the screen right now. As you can see, I like a center hold. Some people prefer a 6 o'clock hold, which would look a lot like this, except the top of the sights would be at the bottom of that target, and that's a 25-yard target, 8-inch 25-yard target. But if they were using a 6 o'clock hold, the top of the sights would be at the bottom of the target, and they would have their sights zeroed to where the bullet would still strike the center of the target. So your point of impact would still be in the center. But I prefer this hold that I'm showing you. This is a center hold. I've got my gun zeroed to where the top of that front sight, right in the center, is where that bullet should strike. If I'm able to squeeze that trigger and do a good trigger pull and follow through without interrupting that sight picture, that's where my bullet should hit. But I've also got to be honest with you guys. Nobody has, or I've never been able to have a perfect sight picture. I'm always moving, you know. We're human beings. We're pumping blood through our bodies, pumping air, you know. There's always something moving around inside of us. And if you sit and wait to get that perfect sight picture, a lot of times you'll build up tension, you'll end up flinching and missing anyway. So you can't just sit and wait forever and ever and try to hold and get that perfect sight picture. You just want to get as close as you can. You'll have a natural wobble to your sight. You'll notice that front sight has a wobble to it, and you want to practice holding that as still as you can to make that wobble as small as possible. But it's still going to be there, and you can get to where you can predict where that wobble is going to be at as close to perfect as you can get it, and that's when you want to squeeze your shot off. People that tell you to stand there and get the perfect sight picture, which what I'm showing you here on screen is pretty close. You've got equal amount of light on either side of the front sight. The top of the sights are all even. That's pretty close to perfect, but you can't always get that perfect sight picture. Now what you don't want to do is focus on the rear sight. If you focus on the rear sight, your front sight's going to be out of focus, your target's going to be out of focus, and you're not going to be able to get that proper sight alignment. The light between the front sight and the two edges of the rear sight, you're not going to be able to get that equal. And at this range, that's 25 yards again on an 8-inch target. At this range, you're likely to miss. You can get away with it up close, but you don't. It's a bad habit. Also, you don't want to focus on the target. And here's what that looks like. As you can see, my sights are completely out of focus. It'd be really hard to get a good hit at this range. Now, you can get away with that up close on large targets. You can focus on your target and you can get away with it. A lot of speed shooters will use that technique when they're shooting those larger targets up close. But when you get back, like I'm using in this example, at 25 yards on an 8-inch target, you need that focus on that front sight. And guys, just a reminder, I'm not talking about a self-defense situation here. I'm just talking about out here at the range, recreational shooting. Self-defense, you know, you may be at a spot where you can't even see your sights. You might not even get a sight picture. You may have to point shoot. You may have to get what they call a flash sight picture, where you just get verification that that front sight's on them, and you got to let it go. Don't waste your time trying to get a perfect sight alignment in a spot where it wouldn't matter. If you've got a large target at close range, perfect sight alignment, it's not going to matter. You just want to get that front sight on it. So that being said, I've got my 627 Performance Center V-Comp here. Talk about sight radius a little bit. A longer sight radius will let you get away with a little bit more than a short sight radius, because it doesn't throw you off as much. If you've got your front sight slightly out of alignment, it's not going to throw you off to the degree that a short barrel, short sight radius will. If you've got a short barrel gun, you really have to focus. You really have to get that sight alignment. It's critical at any kind of distance that you get that sight alignment down. You can get away with a little less perfection, if you will, if you've got a longer sight radius. That's one reason longer sight radius guns are a little easier to shoot, or a little easier to make hits with. So once you get that perfect sight picture that you're looking for, you've got the top of the front sight, even with the top of the rear sight. You've got the light on either side of the front sight blade even in that notch of the rear sight. Now you have to shoot, you have to pull that shot off without interrupting that sight picture. And that takes practice. If you disturb that sight picture, then all the alignment and concentration you've done on getting that pretty nice sight picture is out the window anyway. So trigger control we'll cover in another video, but it's critical to your sight alignment that you maintain that sight alignment through the entire process. Now, I want to talk about something else real quick. Get the little shield back up here. Everything that I've shown you so far is if you were shooting. I'm going to point this gun at the camera, don't freak out. There's nothing back behind it. If you were shooting at the camera here, everything I've showed you so far has been from the perspective of one eye, shooting with one eye open, because I've only got one lens on this camera. So what I've done, I shoot with two eyes open. There's a lot of advantages to shooting with two eyes open. There's also some disadvantages, and I'll show you that. I took a couple photos and overlaid them to show you guys as best I can what I'm seeing with two eyes open. As you can see, when I've got both eyes open, I've got one eye looking straight down the sights. I'm right-handed, right eye dominant. So I've got my right eye looking straight down at the rear sight. I've got my sight picture looking good, but my left eye's over here, so it's seeing it from a different perspective. Because of that, I can see in my peripheral here, I can see two sets of rear sights, and you're going to see two targets downrange. It just takes a little practice to getting used to it. Eventually, your brain is just going to sort it out, and if you don't fight with it and try to figure out, am I on the right target? Am I looking at the right rear sight? Am I lined up properly? If you just let all that stuff come natural and practice a little bit, it will come natural to you. You'll automatically bring that gun up under your right eye, of course, if you're right eye dominant, like I am. And you'll learn to ignore the extra set of rear sights and the extra target and all that stuff. So it just takes a little practice, but it's a really messy sight picture, and nobody ever tells you that. They'll just tell you, oh, you need to shoot with both eyes open. But there's exactly to a T what it looks like to me, focused on that front sight. All right, so that's all I got on this little video today. I appreciate all you guys watching. I know this probably didn't help some of you guys that are already good shooters and you already know what's up, but there are a lot of new shooters coming on board my channel and asking a lot of questions and asking for these types of videos. I may do more, I may not. You have to remember, like I explained earlier, I'm not a professional. I've got bad habits, I've got flaws. I don't want to pass my flaws on to somebody else. So I'll try to point those out. If I do a video on grip, I'll show you some of what I'm talking about. I've got some bad habits there. I don't have a perfect stance. I've got a hillbilly hybrid weaver, maybe that's what you'd call it as far as stance goes. But I'll be glad to show you guys those things. You just got to understand that you're not getting this information from a certified professional. But that's all I got, and I'll talk with you guys again soon.